All right, let's bring in Pennsylvania Senator Dave McCormick, who is a member of the Senate Banking and Foreign Relations Committee, and God bless him, was a combat veteran years ago. Senator, thank you for this. Look, that way you're for Kevin Warsh, I'm for Kevin Warsh. He's a very smart guy. He's going to be a great Fed chairman. I don't care about Jay Powell one way or the other. He's on his way out. But it just seems to me what a lot of people don't seem to understand, and I've been talking to some reporters on it, there's a principle here, and I wanted to get your take on it because I don't know why the Fed will not comply with the Justice Department requests for documents concerning the Federal Reserve cost overruns and whatever else. It's part of the law. It's in the executive branch. The Fed is not above the law. That's the issue here. And I think Mr. Trump is right to keep the heat on this. So anyway, what does Senator McCormick think?
Well, I agree with the principle you're saying, which is any agency, if documents are requested, should comply with the agency.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't think that's inconsistent with something I think I've said to you before, which is I don't think there should be a criminal investigation of Jay Powell. I think whatever concerns there are about cost overruns, we should deal with those in the Banking Committee. But independent of whether you and I disagree on that, I think we agree on the principle that if any agency is subpoenaed or requested to provide documents, they have to do so. That's part of the law. I agree with that principle.
It's just an odd story. So some investigators from the U.S. Attorney's Office, Janine Pirro, District of Columbia, went over to the Fed and made another request for documents, and they were rebuffed. Now, you know, there's some humorous byplay about construction workers in hard hats, but actually it's the Federal Reserve's legal department that stood up and said, no, we won't comply. So that's my problem. Now, look, this should be, the Congress should have been investigating this.
Yes,
yeah, you're absolutely right on that, Senator. I couldn't agree more. Now, the other point is, look.
And by the way, Larry, I hope we can get to that. In other words, I hope what will happen is that this investigation will be closed out or transferred to the Banking Committee, because I think this is within our jurisdiction, quite appropriate. I think the president's right to question. I think those who question the cost overruns and whether this was well handled, it's absolutely imperative that we show the American taxpayer that their money is being spent well. So this is absolutely appropriate to be investigated. I hope we can do it in banking.
Well, Senator, that's a very interesting point, because here's my question. If you can get that, I'm going to call it a jurisdictional move, but it's actually congressional prerogative because the Fed reports to Congress. But if you do that, would Senator Tillis, be friendlier on this if he knew that there would be a full-throated investigation by the Banking Committee? Would then he unlock the nomination for Kevin Warsh?
Well, I don't want to speak for Senator Tillis, but I do think that a path offers real possibility, because I've heard Senator Tillis say that he thinks this is a jurisdictional question for the Banking Committee. So again, I don't speak for him, but I really do think this is the right path, and I think this could open it up. And listen, this is a moment of enormous uncertainty. We need new leadership at the Fed. We need to get this great candidate who's a friend of you and I confirmed, and we can get him in there so we can get the reforms underway and get the country moving in the right direction.
You know, and I might add, Senator Tillis, I know him quite well. He's a very reasonable man, and this could be your suggestion, Senator, could be a very interesting and important off-ramp for this whole brouhaha. But the other point I just want to leave you with, Kevin Warsh is a guy who wants to downsize the Fed. He wants to downsize the Fed's power. He wants to downsize the Fed's central planning. He wants to downsize the balance sheet of the Fed. For all these reasons, my point is, the Fed is not above the law. That's the key point.
Couldn't agree more. And I'd say two things about Kevin. We both know him well. Number one, he's got a reformer's heart. This is a guy that's going to go in there and shake things up at a time where the Fed really needs it. Second, this is a guy who grew up in rural New York. He knows what inflation does to working families. This is someone who understands the real economy and has really lived the American dream. That's not a small thing. That's a big thing, because the Fed's mandate has to not be driven by a bunch of pointy-head economists. It's got to be driven by people that understand the real economy as well as financial markets.
100%. When I was growing up, long time ago, professionally working at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, I won't even tell you what year, it was so long ago, nobody even remembers. But they used to have a farmer on the board. They used to have, you know, small business people on the board, not just, shall we say, pointy-headed, egghead economists. Anyway, Senator David McCormick, you are the best of the best. Thank you, sir.